When people talk about global power, one name rises again and again, because it carries not just strength, but a legacy of discipline, technology, and unstoppable strategy. The United States military stands at a point where the world watches every move, calculates every decision, and knows that behind every step lies a system built on excellence. But the question is, why? Why does the U.S. military hold the position as the number one force on the planet? The answer begins long before modern wars, long before advanced jets and satellites. It begins with a mindset, a belief that security, innovation, and preparation must never be compromised. The U.S. military does not wake up strong. It trains, invests, and evolves every single day. And this daily commitment to readiness is what shapes a force that doesn't simply exist, it dominates. The first element of its unmatched strength is technology. When the world thinks of advanced weaponry, stealth aircraft, guided missiles, AI-driven surveillance, and next-generation cyber systems, the blueprint almost always begins in the United States. From the skies to the seas to the digital battlefield, the U.S. is always 2 steps ahead. The F-22 Raptor, the B-2 Spirit, the F-35, the aircraft carriers that act like floating cities, these are not weapons, these are messages. Messages that tell the world, superiority is not an accident, it is engineered. But technology alone can't win battles without minds that know how to use it. What truly separates the U.S. military from the rest is training so intense, so precise, that every soldier, sailor, airman, and marine becomes a master in their field. These are individuals who prepare for conditions most people cannot imagine. They practice in every climate, every terrain, every possible scenario. They push themselves until fear becomes familiarity and pressure becomes instinct. When you combine technology with skill, you don't just create strength, you create dominance. Another reason the U.S. military leads the world is its global reach. Think about this. At any moment, the U.S. military can project power anywhere on the planet. They can move thousands of troops, aircraft, and naval fleets across oceans in hours. Most countries defend themselves within their borders. The U.S. defends its allies, supports global missions, and maintains a presence that keeps balance in regions far beyond its own territory. This reach creates deterrence. Nations think twice before making threats, because they know attention from the U.S. military is not something they want. Behind all of this lies a powerful network of intelligence. Satellites in orbit, drones in the sky, listening stations across continents, partnerships with allies, and analysts who study every shift in global movement. The U.S. military doesn't just fight wars, it prevents them by knowing what is happening long before tensions rise. Information becomes a shield, and intelligence becomes the strongest weapon. But even with all the machines, systems, and strategies, the true heart of the U.S. military is its people. Individuals who come from all backgrounds, soldiers who leave behind their comfort, families who sacrifice, leaders who take responsibility, and teams that move as one. What makes the number one force in the world is not just power, but purpose. A purpose built on discipline, unity, and the belief that defending peace is bigger than an individual. Another major reason for their global ranking is their budget and investment. The U.S. spends more on defense than many countries combined. But this money does not just go into building weapons. It goes into research, cybersecurity, aerospace development, soldier welfare, education, and long-term planning. It goes into creating new capabilities before the world even realizes they are needed. While others are trying to catch up to today's standards, the U.S. is already preparing for tomorrow. And then there is innovation, constant, aggressive, unstoppable innovation. The U.S. military partners with private companies, scientists, universities, and technology giants to create things that rewrite the rules of war. Drones that can fly without detection, submarines that can disappear beneath oceans for months, lasers that can stop missiles in midair, and AI systems that can track threats faster than any human. This constant evolution keeps them not just ahead, but far ahead. One of the most defining aspects of this military is its alliances. NATO, strategic partners, global friends, the U.S. military is not isolated. It stands at the center of a network so vast that any threat to one nation becomes a concern for dozens. This unity amplifies strength. It's not just power, it's partnership, and it multiplies the impact of every operation. You also cannot ignore the role of experience. For decades, the United States has been involved in real missions, combat operations, peacekeeping, humanitarian relief, counterterrorism, and global conflict zones. Experience teaches lessons that cannot be learned in training fields alone. These lessons shape strategies that become sharper, smarter, and more effective with every generation. Another reason is logistics, one of the most underrated but most important aspects of warfare. The U.S. military can build bases in deserts, set up operations in mountains, move equipment across oceans, and supply millions of soldiers with food, ammunition, and medical support in places where most countries could not operate for more than a few days. This level of organization transforms them from a strong force into an unstoppable one. And finally, there is deterrence, the idea that strength itself prevents conflict. The U.S. military's presence alone stabilizes regions, keeps peace in disputed areas, and stops wars before they begin. When a force becomes so powerful that its very existence creates balance, that is when you know it is number one. So when the world asks why the U.S. military stands as the strongest, the reasons are many: technology, training, reach, intelligence, alliances, budgets, logistics, innovation, discipline, and experience. But the biggest reason is simple: they never stop preparing. They never stop improving. They never allow themselves to fall behind. Power becomes excellence when it is maintained every single day. The U.S. military is not just number one because of what it has, it is number one because of what it continues to become.